Welcome to the Recruitment Business Accelerator Podcast. Creating a successful recruitment business is not about you being the best hands-on biller or driving most of the activity for your team. It's about you becoming the best strategist, marketer, and leader so that you can create a powerful business that grows quickly and does not depend on you. For the last 10 years, Nicky and Katy have been advising recruitment business owners just like you to do exactly that. If you want to grow your business by 20% to 250% in 6 months or less, half your hours, and build a powerful recruitment business that doesn't depend on you, keep listening. If you want it faster, visit centeredexcellence.co.uk/apply. Here's Nicky and Katy.
Hello everybody and welcome. Excited to be hosting this week's episode of the Recruitment Business Accelerator podcast. So if you are watching this on live stream or you've just joined me live, welcome. I'm delighted to have you here with me today. And please do type in hi in the comments box or feel free to express yourself with an emoji instead so I can see who's with me here today. And if you're listening in the car or maybe you're walking the dog, or you might even be at the gym, then check me out on live stream on our Facebook page or YouTube, and you can still participate inside this session if you want to, and of course if it's safe for you to do so. So before I get started, if you are watching, please do click on that share button, make sure other people can see this session, or if you think that somebody would be interested in the topic that I'm going to be discussing with you today and would benefit from it, then please do tag their name in the comment box and then they can come and listen to this recording as well. So, and good morning. So if you're new to this group or this is the first podcast that you've joined us for, then these sessions are packed with hacks, tips, strategies. Just going to put my tips, strategies to really support you to lifting the lid on your recruitment business and giving you, bear with me 1 second, you callers. I'm going to put my headphones on because I think that's going to be easier for you to hear me. I've got a bit of background noise, so here we go. Hopefully you can hear me better from that. So yeah, if you're new to this group or this is your first podcast session that you've joined us for, these sessions are live. They're packed with hacks, tips, strategies that will really rocket your recruitment business. And Nicky and I have specifically designed these for you. So they're going to lift the lid on the areas that we know recruitment businesses experience problems and challenges with. And we're going to give you practical solutions to overcome these. So with no further ado, let me get started on this week's topic. It's a hot one. I'm really excited about this. I've been chomping at the bit to share this session with you for some time. So this morning or today, if you're listening to the replay, I'm going to be lifting the lid on the real reason why you're not getting paid the fees you deserve for your service, and most specifically, what you can do about it. Now, as I mentioned, this is a really big topic, and it's a big topic because it's such a big problem amongst so many recruitment businesses, and it literally cripples a company's ability to sustain healthy cash flow every month. And I see this too frequently, unfortunately, in recruitment businesses and companies where they're suffering because they're caught in this black hole of operating at low fees. And yet, so often you are delivering a premium service for these low fees. And the problem is that if you don't shift out of this, if you don't move yourself out of this abyss, as I call it, then you're going to stay caught in a perpetual cycle of working undervalued fees for years. And over time, this is going to erode away your profit line. Because when you're trapped in that situation, what's going to happen is your fees are going to stay where they are, but all around you, your costs to your business and to your other clients, your clients will be inflating every year. So they're going to be going up, but you're not. And eventually that's going to become prohibitive for you to trade within. So this is why it's so important, and I want to talk to you about it today. Now, the good news is if you are here, so let's say this is you and you are operating with lower fees than you want to, or you want to change this, because you know that there's a ceiling to the level of fees that perhaps you're comfortable charging, and you'd really like to know how to push through that and to reach the kind of levels that you believe your service is really worth, then do stay with me today, because I've got a ton of solutions for you on this session. And I'm going to advise you stay right until the end, because my last share is really going to change the way you present your service and your fees forever. It's going to open up a whole new way of you propositioning, put the teeth in, your fees. So do stay tuned with me right until the very end. Okay, so this has to be, I think, one of the most pervasive beliefs out there, which I see all the time, which is people will say to me, well, Katy, you know, my clients are different. Katy, my industry is different, my sector is different. They just will not pay, you know, that fee level. And there are so many negative beliefs around this. So either you might believe maybe your service is worth a certain fee level, or maybe you do believe that your service is worth a certain fee level, but you think somehow your clients can't afford that fee, or that they just won't pay it. Now, this was one of my biggest fears when I started selling, you know, high-level fees, because no matter what client base you're working with, people want value for their money, right? And I can't imagine that anybody here who's listening to this session has a client base who just accepts, you know, 30%, 40% fees, and they just don't question them. They just, you know, accept them out of the park. So most of you guys are, like me, working with normal people, normal businesses, and you know, normal clients, and so that fee is there for us. And whether it seems like a lot of money to you or not, whether you're charging, let's say you're charging 10% or 15%, or maybe you're charging 20%, whatever it is you want to charge for your service, you're terrified that your client will not pay it, and you believe that either they can't pay it or they won't pay it. And fundamentally, you're afraid to hear the word no, because you're afraid they're going to reject you, and what's going to happen is they're going to go to a different agency, and then you're going to lose that potential fee. And for some people, this can be the impact on, you know, whether you meet your target or whether you meet a break even for the month or not. So if that is where you are dealing right now, if that's where you're with, then I'm going to deconstruct the truth about this for you in this session, and what that really is, because the truth behind that fear for you could really change once and for all today. So I've got a question for you. And the first question that I want to ask you is, how do you know? Right? So how do you know? And what I mean by that is, how do you know that your client will not pay a high level fee for your level of service? How do you actually know that to be true? Because if it's not true, then actually, you know, you haven't tried this out. So what are you basing this on? Where's your evidence? Because nothing is the truth until you've tried it, right? So my first question to you is, when was the last time you asked one of your clients for a fee increase? So was it last week? Was it a year ago? Was it 5 years ago? Maybe longer? Because if you haven't, and you know, maybe you set your fees up when you first started the business and they haven't changed since. So I know that a lot of recruitment businesses, when we first start working with them, when we start helping them around this area, what's happening for them and where they're at is that they set their fees when they first started their business, and they haven't actually changed them at all during that time frame. So, you know, going back to my question, how do you know that your clients won't pay more for your service? Because the thing is that most of the time, the person who answers that question is you. So you're the one who is saying that they won't pay. You're the one who believes they won't pay more for your service, not actually your client. And if you're struggling under the weight of this fear, or maybe you've just dismissed the idea right out the gate because you just think your clients won't pay it, then, you know, have you actually really tested this? Have you tested your own theory? Because if you haven't, the first question to ask yourself is actually why. Why haven't I? Or why haven't you? Why do you believe that this is the case? And what is that telling you about your fees? So what is it that you actually believe about your fees? Because what if the elephant in the room is not your client, it's actually your own inner limiting belief about what you think you're worth? So, because if it is, then actually the work to change your fee structure is not with your clients, it's with your own mindset. And this is on your own thoughts and beliefs about what you're worth. So it's not actually about your client's ability or not, let's say, to say yes to you. In fact, it's actually about how you believe you value your own service and what's going on for you in your own head. Because, this is actually the fact, probably the biggest barrier to recruitment businesses and recruitment business owners being comfortable setting a fee structure that is in line with the value that they're actually delivering. And this is both for, you as a business owner, or you as a team leader, or maybe you as a consultant, is that actually there's something going on for you inside your own head. And this is why we do so much work with our clients around mindset, because you have to build a bulletproof mindset in all areas of your work and personal life, because it's your mindset that literally affects all of the results that you will get in your life. So I'm going to let you ponder on that thought for a moment. I'm going to take you to the next level, which is I want to talk about the second question to answer here, which is, what do you believe will happen? So let's say you went out there and you started changing your fees. What do you believe would happen? Because if the scenario is, or let's face it, actually, what could the worst case scenario be? Well, it's probably that you're going to go out there and you're going to ask your clients for a higher fee and they're going to say no. But how bad is that? Because it's not the end of the world for someone to say no, is it? But I feel like there are so many behaviors that I see people engaging with aren't productive or won't work for them. And it's actually the elaborate strategies that we invent in our own minds that keep us in that position. And it stops us from putting ourselves on the line and actually giving our client the ability to say yes for themselves. Because we're terrified of the rejection. We're terrified of losing a potential fee. So we create these elaborate stories in our mind and we accept that it's true, even though we don't actually have any data to back it up. So if you haven't tried this yet, so you haven't tried increasing your fees, and that is you, then I'd really like to invite you to ask yourself, what evidence do I have for that belief? Because most of our clients, when they start working with us and they start out on this strategy, it's actually because they haven't tried yet. So one really simple, easy way to increase your fees overnight is to ask for it, is to go out there, be bold and ask the question. Because at least when you do that, you know that the person who's making the decision is your client, not you. Okay, so let's talk about if you have tested it, because I know there will be a good proportion of people probably listening or will be listening to this that will say, all right, Katie, I hear what you're saying, but actually I have tested it, okay? I've gone out there and I've tested it. So if you did, then how far did you go with it? Because did you just dip your toe in the water and maybe you asked one or two clients for a higher fee, or did you go all out and restructure your offering and your fee proposition? Because if you just dipped your toe in the water and you just tested the temperature, then it's not a real test, because you'll go into it either expecting that it's not going to work, or you're going to go into it without a clear strategy on how to actually enroll and serve your clients. So if you have tested the water with a few clients and you try to change your fee without using the right process or without using that right strategy behind it, then it's not a concrete way for you to move forward. Whereas if you say, okay, I'm committed to this. I'm going to change this. Here's my new service offering. Here's my proposition. This is the value my service delivers to my customers, and you have evidence to back that up. And therefore, this is the fee structure I charge for that value, and this is my new reality, and this is where I'm at. That's different. That's totally different. So the first question to ask yourself is, going back, is have you even tested it? Because sometimes it's just as simple as asking for it. And if you haven't, then do you actually have any data to base your belief or that belief on? But then the real question for those of you that have tested it is, did you really commit to it 100%? Or did you just sort of dabble in it? Because if there's one thing that I found after working with lots and lots, hundreds of clients across different sectors, helping them roll out new fees and reworking their value proposition and how they charge for that, the one thing that I've found is that if you just dip your toe in the water and you dabble, it does not work, right? It doesn't work. And the reason it doesn't work is one thing, and that is something called, or the word, certainty. That's the real reason. That's the key that breaks it open. Because if you believe your audience will not pay a higher fee, then this is going to become a self-fulfilling prophecy for you. Whereas if you believe the opposite, and you believe that your service is something of enormous value, and you know that what you deliver is worth charging 20, 25% for, maybe, you believe it's worth charging 30 or 50% for, then you have to have the evidence to back that up in your own mind. And once you do, that's exactly what will show up in your world every day when you're delivering your fees and your service proposition. And that, is actually true with everything, because your certainty, or even your lack of certainty, is contagious. It's 100% contagious. And people will respond to what's going on inside of you, not who you're actually pretending to be on the outside. So the inner world of your beliefs, your thoughts, your feelings are what people will respond to. And eventually, that internal world that you've created for yourself, that actually becomes a reflection of your outer world. So you need to do some work on your inner game, as well as strategic tools to increasing your fees, because your inner voice is the one that needs to believe your service is worth that fee, nothing else. And if there's an inkling of doubt, then that is going to shine through. That's going to speak to your clients, not what you're saying. That's what they'll see and hear. Okay, so let's move on to the next stage, because what I'd love to do is dive right into the practical specifics with you as well today. And what I'm going to do next is I want to dissect the sales structure, because one of the biggest areas where people make mistakes is that they actually they're approaching the sales structure in the wrong way. All right, so what they're doing is they are creating a whole world of problems for them because of the way in which they deliver their service offering and their fee. And I'm going to start by talking about the title that we call all of ourselves, well, generally we do, which is all around being a true consultant. Because this is the difference between transactional service and selling and transformational service or selling. And in fact, for me, I prefer to use the word serving, not selling. So it's all about being a true consultant. And what I see happening is that people will go straight in, they'll dive straight in, and they will start talking about the job brief up front with their client. So a client may call them, or they might go to a client meeting, and they're going because the client has an opportunity. But at this point, they haven't discussed fees or anything. So let's assume this is a new client. And what they do is they miss the opportunity to serve their client and actually be a consultant. And what happens instead is that people primarily focus on the job brief. So they'll start talking about the skills and the attributes and the job specification that the client is looking for. And what they'll do is they'll actually miss the most critical part of the process, which is the most important element, and that is to fully identify and understand what the client's problems are. And most importantly, what is it costing the client to stay with their problem? So what happens is people don't invest the time right at the beginning of the process to help their clients understand exactly what the impact is of the role on them and on their business and also on their results. So later on, when it comes to actually negotiating the fees and or let's say if you wanted to gain exclusivity, then they find that they come up against massive barriers, and barriers that they will not get over. And they won't get over it because I'm going to use, the analogy, if you like, the ship has sailed, so to speak, because the opportunity has been lost. So what you need to do instead is right up front, you've got to gain control right at the beginning of the process, and you've got to act like a consultant. You've properly got to consult with your client. And this means to do this, you've got to unpick the problem. You've got to unpick the problem that the client is faced with, because you've got to uncover the real impact that the problem is having on your client and on their business. Because in most cases, the client is not aware that there is any impact in the first place. Or if they do, they don't realize to what degree that full implication or impact is, and really the problems that it's causing their business and their success, their results. So as their consultant, it is our duty, it's our role to serve them at a high level. And to do that, we've got to walk them through this process, walk them through the real cost implication of not getting clear on the wider impact of their of what this is costing them on their business and on their goals. So this is a process, and this is a process where it transforms the way that you are serving your client. That's why I'm going to call it serving, not selling. And it really is the difference between, serving versus selling. Because most of our clients will have a viewpoint on your service, and that viewpoint will be that you're a cost. And they will become fixed on that cost being the fee, the recruitment fee that they pay you. What your client will miss is, or not necessarily appreciate, unless you walk them through it, is understanding the bigger picture. And understanding the bigger picture is actually knowing that the real cost of recruitment is not your fee. So let me explain what I mean by that, because that might sound simple. So if I say that to you again, so the real cost of recruitment is not the fee you charge, right? So you're probably thinking, yeah, get that, Katie, that's pretty obvious. Well, it might sound obvious, but let that sink in for a minute, because this is where people go wrong. Is because when they then start to quantify their fee, they're not understanding what the real cost is. So they're talking about their fee as one set cost, but the fee to the client is not what it's actually costing them to have that issue in their business. So the real cost of recruitment is actually about the time and the cost implication on that business of not having that position operating at its full requirement over a period of time. That's the real cost. And this is an equation that you can walk your client through. And this is incredibly, incredibly powerful, because the moment that you help your client to understand this equation and to walk them through this process, and you can do that in a step-by-step process, by the way, then this becomes, it totally changes the way you do recruitment, because the fee becomes irrelevant, because you're demonstrating that the cost is not your fee, and that you're not actually a cost to your client, but rather you're a cost saving. You're a cost saving because the actual impact to your client is a cost way beyond the cost of your fee. And if you can show how you can cut that cost down to them, then you can demonstrate you're actually a cost saving, not even a cost at all. And this is when everything flips. This is when you open the door to being able to do business differently, because the client suddenly understands that you are actually able, as a consultant, to save them money, not to cost them money. So you're probably thinking about this, I hope you're understanding that what this will do for you is this will open the door to things like long-term contracts with your client, exclusive partnerships with your client. You would be able to sell retainers. It totally differentiates the way that you operate. So it moves you from what I call that kind of bum fight, excuse the language, bum fight on fee into what I call me only. So the bum fight on me is what I call me too, where you're just the same as everyone else, but the only thing that differentiates you is your fee. Whereas me only is when you are operating in a totally different pond, because the way that you serve your client is in a way that no one else can deliver. So if you want to learn how to do this and how to serve clients at a high level, then you absolutely need to become an expert in your client's problem. And this means you've got to get under the skin of what their unfilled vacancy is actually costing them. And you need to consult them through that real cost of recruitment. And here's the really important part as well, is this must be done at the beginning of the process. If you do it any later than right up front at the beginning, you're too late because you've lost the opportunity. So I'm sharing this process with you. It is worth millions, by the way. It's incredibly powerful. It will literally change the way you do recruitment, and it will turn your cash flow and your revenue streams on like taps. It's like a secret weapon to creating long-term partnerships with your clients. And the most important thing is it delivers value for both parties, for you and for your client. So if you want to be recognized as an expert to your client, and one which takes the time to understand fully their problems, and you present that best solution for that problem, then this is the process to use. So this is going to shift you from selling into serving, which is where we all want to be, and it's going to shift you from being just a transactional recruitment operator into being a transformational business partner to your clients. So I'm just going to really quickly recap that process for you so that you've got that. So remember, job spec is secondary. The first thing you need to do is you need to gain control from your client. And to do that right at the beginning of the process, you need to understand the client's problems. And this is so important, by the way. Why? Because people don't buy a product or a service, they buy their way out of the problem. So you need to be Inspector Clouseau. You've got to dig deep, and you've got to find out what that problem is so that you can resolve it in a way like no one else can. Then you're going to match back that real cost of recruitment, and you're going to match back that role, and you're going to provide real value and get them to understand what the cost implication is, and then how your service is going to overcome that cost implication and actually save them money rather than cost them money. And then when you do that, then you'll notice how fee objections that you might have had in the past are going to start dissolving. Or better still, they won't even come up at all. So that's the summary steps of the process that you follow. And, I really encourage you to try it, because it will get you completely different results. So I just want to recap on time, because I noticed that time is running out so fast. And really already spent half an hour on these areas for you. So just to recap on what I have covered with you today. So the first question to ask yourself is, who needs convincing about your fees? So is it actually your client, or is it actually you? Second thing is, what have you got to lose? Ask the question. Yeah, just ask the simple question, because that could be the step for you increasing your fees overnight. The third thing is, make sure it's all about serving, not selling. So be a true consultant to your customers. And to do that, you've got to gain control, and you've got to probe, and you've got to find out their problems. And then you've got to help your clients understand the real cost of recruitment. So use the powerful equation. So I really hope that in that very short amount of time that I've had with you today, that has delivered real value to you. Please do let me know your thoughts on this. I'd love you to share, a thumbs up or an emoji or any comments that you've got that you can put in the group for me. Just let me know whether that's been of value to you, and what else you'd like to hear us doing on our podcast sessions, because we really want to give you as much as much value as you can in the areas that you want. Because really what I've covered today is just the tip of the iceberg on how you can position your fees and your service. There's so much more I could and would love to share with you. So if today's subject is something you want to hear more about, or maybe you just like to speak to us about how we could help you and your business, we have a really special offering that we do for our clients, which is called a Profit Accelerator session. This is a 60-minute session, which you would have with either myself, Nikki, or one of our amazing team, where we dig into your business and we uncover the things that are stopping your business or might be holding you back. And then with you on that call, we create a plan for you. So we create a plan on how you can resolve those issues in your business and how you can move your business to the next level. These are really powerful sessions and you get amazing insights, ton of value out of them, and they're free. So if you would like more help from us or you'd like to apply for one of these sessions, then let me give you the link that you need to put in. So the link is www.centeredexcellence.com/apply, and fill out the application form so that we know whether we can help you or not, because we've got to be the right fit for you. So please reach out to us if you need more help. We're here to serve you. We are here to help you transform your business. That is what we are about. So please do click on the link if you want that help. And or, if you've enjoyed the session, then please do make sure that you subscribe to all of the podcasts that we do. These are every Monday at 11:30 for you. And yeah, I've enjoyed the session so much. Thank you so much for joining me today. And please do leave me comments as well. And can't wait to see you next week. So have a brilliant week, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. Take care. Have a lovely week. Speak to you soon. Bye for now.